Okay, so can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so hopefully if you weren't here on Tuesday, you were able to watch the videos so that we don't have to kind of go back over everything. I did find out, you know how you may remember how I kept going back into the dashboard to change between my applications. I found out every time you do that, it creates a segment. And so that's why the information at the top of your screen doesn't change. Because, and I'm going to just put everything now as received. I'm going to move everything back to received, just so we can have a starting point here. We have to wait a minute. Oh, sorry. I was trying to, oh, here it is, select 27. That's what I want to do. I'm going to move everybody back to received. So if you stay in applications, it's supposed to change your phase thing dynamically. So like right now, I'm moving everyone back to received. And once that's done, which it's taking a minute, it should just show everybody in received. But if you go back to the dashboard and click on any of the categories, you'll only be able to see the information for the category you're in, if that makes sense. I hope it does. I'm sorry, this is taking a minute. I've been playing around and I realized that it was almost time for the meeting to start. So while we wait for this, and hopefully it won't take too much longer, did anybody have any questions or did they learn anything exciting that they would want to share with everyone who's here? In the past couple of days? And please just speak up. No hand raising or any of that. First of all, it's hard for me to find the darn thing up there to.
I have a question. When getting started, do we need to go into dashboard first or?
Well, I think it will automatically open the first time you go in. It'll automatically open in your dashboard. But what I've noticed happens is after you, like if you get logged out for inactivity, when you go back in, I believe it picks up where you were when you logged out. So if you were in the applications, like right here with the blue highlight right now, if that's where you were, I believe that's where it will go back to when you log back in.
Okay, what about sandbox? Do we need to mess with that at all or no?
Well, okay, there's two things. I did get the answer for sure about these fake applications. They are going away on August 31st. And there is no way for them to leave them in our live portal after August 31st. Mm-hmm. So the only way you'll be able to play around with quote applicants before the applications come out into the live portal at the end of September is in the sandbox. And of course, the weakness with that is that you'll have to set everything up in the sandbox the way you had set it up in your live portal. But that's an awful lot of time, you know, between August 31st and September 25th or whatever it is, you know, that's almost a month. So obviously we would all like to be able to continue to get more comfortable. So you will need the sandbox. Eventually, my recommendation would be to go ahead and use the live portal as long as you can with those fake applicants, just because that is, then you can find out if you set something up and you like it, then you don't have to try to recreate it. you'll have it there, because that isn't going to go away. The only thing that's going to go away in your live portal are those fake applicants.
I see. Thank you.
Uh-huh. So as you see now, all of my applicants have been moved to received. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click a couple and I'm going to put them into another phase. So as we talked about last time, you have to click somebody before you see this at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and move them into the assigned in review, because we were kind of talking about this last time and I hadn't really looked into it, but I have looked into it a little more. So, we can jump to this, but although if you have any questions about in-betweens, feel free to jump in and ask. But I'm just going to move a couple of people into the application assigned and in review. And as you see now, it shows I have 25 received, 2 in review. When I click on those, it just shows me those 2. And if I want to assign those to the same people, I click there, and now you see there's an assign, because I have a form in there, because like we talked about last time, you do have to have some sort of an evaluation form set up to be able to assign people. So I'm going to assign a couple of people here to this. Actually, I'm going to assign myself too, so that I can show you some stuff. And then you always apply. And so I can move this. No, okay, there's no save. Got to be sure you save, apply, whatever every time, or else you lose everything you did. And that's happened to me a few times. So now I can go into my review portal. And this is just my review portal. Whoever has been assigned to me, even though I just assigned those 2 to myself, they're not showing up here yet. It takes a couple of minutes, I think, for some of these things to happen. But I can show you the one that I had already reviewed. Sadly, I can't change the review form. Once the person goes in and submits the review form, they can't change it. And it does give a warning. But there's a little thing at the top. Let me see if I can refresh this and get the ones that I added. Oh, no, that's not what I want to get. Sorry, I'm clicking around the wrong places here. I don't know why. Some of them open in a new window, some of them don't. This one isn't opening in a new window. Okay, so assign, already assigned to one, assigned to both, assigned to all. Okay. Okay, so now it should be assigned to me. And as you see, I have a little number 1. That means I have a message. If I go and look there, it tells me I have 2 new assignments. And if I click on that, it tells me what the applications are. And it would take me directly to those applications if I wanted to look at them from there. But what I'm going to do is go down here to where these little squares are, the colored squares. And that's where you enter your review portal and your interview portal. So I'm going to go in the review portal, and now you see my assigned applications. And I'm going to click on the one that I need to review still. I'm going to click on review applications. And when I do that, it shows me the one that I need to review. And I can go through it, and it just takes you section to section if you use the little thing at the bottom. And here's the review form up at the top. This is just my fake review form. And so I'm going to answer, yes, and they're very strong, and no, I don't have any comments. And what is my recommendation for this applicant? And I'm going to say interview. And then I'm going to hit submit. And when I do, it tells you, once it's submitted, you can't make any changes. So it does give them a warning, but I'm going to continue and say, okay. And then it'll take me back to whether I have anything to do or if I'm done. And it shows me that I'm done. So this is what your reviewers would see when they log into the application portal.
Stephanie, quick question for you. In your form, when
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, in the last section when you were just doing the form and you said the recommendation is to interview, does that automatically move them into the selected to interview category like we had in ERAG?
It does not.
Okay.
No. And there's a thing you have to do, which I have been working on. And let me go back to the right portal.
Was that one you built? I built an application review evaluation form to best mimic how we scored them in ERAS.
Yeah, you can build your own form, but what you have to do, I just have to get to the darn, I didn't save it. I'm on my home computer. I'm working from home today. And so unfortunately, I'm going to have to go in this way again. So I don't have it saved. You can create the form however you want to. And then what you have to do, well, let me just show you what happens first. And then I will show you. So you see here, if you look right here, and I put this in actually, you have to create what they call, oh, what do they call it? I can't remember now, I'm sorry. It's like a filter, basically, that you put in your form. And then you go into this grid right here and you add that to your grid. And what this tells me is there's 2 reviewer recommendations for number 1, which is choice number 1, which was recommend to interview. And you can look at the reviews. I thought it was here.
That's what I'm missing. When I built my custom columns, I didn't put the
well, you have to, and the way to get that in there though is, let me show you. You actually go into phases, and then I put it in my assignment app and review, and I put it in, there's my fake form. And calculated fields. You see where it says calculated fields?
Yeah.
That is where, I'll show you. Reviewer recommendation. You have to put, I had to put this in. It didn't autofill it. You just basically use the same words with no caps and no spaces. And then you pick the form field that you want to calculate or to pull from the evaluation. And I want this, what is your recommendation? Also, I could choose another one. I could have another one for reject if I wanted to.
Okay.
And then you update your phase. And then you go into your grid and it will show up as that all together, you know, the resident reviewer recommendation or whatever. It will show up in your grid, and then you can see it once that's been done. Does that make sense? Kind of.
Thank you.
So yeah, and the thing is, there is a really good walkthrough in the knowledge base about it. If you just remember the words calculated fields, write that down, and I think you'll find the instructions to guide you through that.
Okay, thank you.
And then the same thing is true for the way your applications get to, you know, when they're complete, you have to move them there. So what I did is I made another thing, current phase evaluation complete. And that way, when everyone who has been assigned the applications, which I'm going to change it because otherwise I can't show you how it's complete. But stupid. Let's see. I'm going to remove these two people. And all right. Now you see how that changed. It says that it's current phase evaluation complete. So now that all the people I had assigned, because now it's just me, have completed the evaluations, I can go in and now I can move that phase into review complete if that's where I want it, and hit apply. And then it will move those two applications to review complete. But you do have to manually move them. So you will probably want to set something up to let you know when they're all done. Because otherwise, you know, you'll be chasing a lot of people around trying to ask them if they finished or whatever. Because I don't think there's a way you can go into the review portal and check. I think this is the main way. So go ahead.
Stephanie, I just have a question. So in the real world, when, you know, it comes on October 1st, 4th, whatever it is, 1st, that these are going to be in there, and we have 635 applications. You know, back in the day with Eris, my PD would go in, put her filters in, and then she would just send me who she wanted to interview, if you will, for me to invite. So now they're not even gonna, the PD, they'll have access to this, but they're not gonna see anything unless we move 600 and some people to assign to them.
No, they'll see everything. They'll see everything you see.
Okay.
Your PD will have the same. Let's go down to the teams. Hang on. Or not teams. Organization and users. And if you see, this is my PD. She's listed at her role as program director. She and I have the same access. And there's right here roles. That tells you what access each role has. And so as you see, like actually program manager, program director, they have the same app review, same configuration, same settings, same everything. Reviewer, interviewer is what you're probably going to want to give almost everyone else. And as you see, they have less control and they see less. And also, I don't think you have to give them access to the portal, this main portal. If they're just going to be reviewing or they're just going to be interviewing, then when you invite them, you can invite them just to the review portal. You don't have to invite them to the main portal. So then they'll go into the review portal and they'll see what they're supposed to do. And then beyond that, they don't have to worry about it.
Now, is everyone planning on doing the video component through here, or are you looking at Zoom or Thalamus? Because I'm thinking I kind of want to do Thalamus again for the video of the day.
If we can get the scheduling aspect of this to work, which I think maybe we can, if liaison will change one thing, and hopefully we'll get to that and I can explain what's going on with that. We would like to use the whole enchilada here, because then your reviewers, your interviewers can put their notes in and all of that. And like, we can't read, like when our interviewers write their notes, we can't read half of what they write. So if they would be in the portal and they would be putting their notes in the portal, then that would make things a lot cleaner for us to use this one system. So that's our hope, is that we'll be able to use it. But
It's not required though, right?
Not
Like, it's only
required,
required for the application
you
component.
could treat this just like you'd used grass for the last few years up until they added thalamus. So it would just as the way you manage your applications. You can use it just that way if you want to.
Yeah.
So, and you know, a lot of people, this is a big change, right? So for a lot of people, I think that, you know, they'd rather just take a little bit, kind of baby steps and maybe not jump right in. I'm just not very smart sometimes. I just jump into the fire and go, okay, I'm going to figure this out and try to, I just try to use my tools. And I do feel like this is it has a lot of value to use the whole thing. It's just a bigger learning curve.
Yeah, I think what I'm scared of is we're in the middle of a full renovation on labor and delivery and a hospital-wide EMR change during interview season. I feel like trying to teach all the faculty and residents to use a new system will be not well received.
Sure, yeah. So does everybody who's here kind of see what's happening to get your applications into being reviewed? Does anybody have any questions about that? Like how you get them into the review stage and how you get them out of the review stage once they're all reviewed?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
You said there's a form. I think I may have missed that. There's a form that they're completing to review them. Can we see that? Can I see yours?
Well, you have to create one, or you can use, there's a couple of
They have samples.
samples in there, and you have to attach it to one of the phases. So let me go to here in the phases, and you would go in application, assigned, and review, of course, makes sense, right? So if you put it there, you will go open that to edit it, and then you choose a form that you want to use. And it can be the sample one. It can be your very own form that you create. You can create a brand new form. There is a good video to tell you how to do that. And then I'm just going to cancel. I'm not changing anything. But like we were saying, if, for example, you want to know which candidates were recommended for an interview by your reviewers, you have to create, or if you want any of the information from your form for you to be able to see it easily, you have to create this thing called a calculated field. And then once you create the calculated field, you have to go into your grid, which is, that's what this is, your grid. You have to go in there and you have to add those calculated fields into your grid. I know it's a lot. It was a lot for me. I've been thinking about it for 3 days now, though. So that's kind of the process, so that now I can see who's completed, whose evaluations are completed, or who was got a reviewer recommendation. That means someone was recommended for an interview. This person was. So we're now going to just pretend that everybody has gotten through the whole system. And I'm going to move everybody to interview invitation, which is going to take probably a minute. So if anybody else has any other questions or anything while we're waiting for that to happen.
I do, Stephanie. Question. If we wanted to do this because I've spoken to our PD about this at length. We're in the middle of a large, let me put my camera on. That was rude. Sorry. We're in the middle of a large renovation here in Mother Baby L&D at our hospital. So I have to try to make this as simple and easy as possible for everyone.
Mhm.
If I wanted to use this for reviewing applications with the PD and selecting,
Mhm.
okay, select to interview.
Mhm.
And then I use the scheduler format in here in ResidencyCAS
Mhm.
to invite people, then use our Zoom breakout rooms like I've been doing for years.
Uh-huh.
How do I pick out those features to do?
Okay, I'll show you in just a second, because actually in the scheduler, there is a way to include a link to an external. So like if you're using Zoom, you could put a link in there to your Zoom location.
Oh, great. Okay.
So right now, as you see, I've moved all my invitation, all of my candidates into interview invitation. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the interview portal. And hopefully they're going to be there, and they are. There they are in interview. I think I'm in the portal. No, I'm not in the portal. Why am I not in the portal? Okay, let me go back here. Okay, so this is, I've already been kind of, I don't know why it keeps going back here to this. Okay. So there's a few things you have to do again before you can set up this whole shebang. And I'm going to try to tell you what I did today, but to be honest, I was just like doing it and then it was working. And now I'm going to have to go through it another couple of times before I'm super confident about it. But you have to first set up some rooms. I think that was the first thing it made me do. Oh, as you see though, right here, I put everybody as interview. So now they are in the portal, the interview portal, as a candidate. And these sessions that I couldn't get rid of before the meeting started. I was trying to get rid of everything and go back and start over, but I couldn't do that. So I'm sorry about that. So the first thing you have to do, sorry, I'm having to click. You have to set up meeting rooms. Even though I'm not absolutely positive why, because it doesn't seem like when I set the next thing that the meeting rooms mattered. But I did this. I set up that we had these meeting rooms on September 16th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I just named them what I wanted to name them. And if you want to see, like, add a meeting room, here's what you see. Meeting room name and the date and the start and end time, and anything obviously with the little red asterisk has to be filled in. And then you can add the applicants later. But it'll do it for you automatically. So I'm not positive that this is something you have to have, but you might have to have it if you are using the portal. Okay, and you may not have to have it if you're using Zoom. I'm just going to cancel this.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in for just a sec. I would turn my camera on, but I have zero makeup on. So anyway, yeah, the meeting room I had to create in order to have like the overview session when the PD goes over the overview of the program. And then I had to create like the different interview days on a separate phase. I think it's where the people.
Session. It's in the
Yeah.
set.
Yeah, in the
And
session.
that's what I just jumped to.
Yeah.
So this is where really everything happens in this session. So I'm going to just show you the one I set up. And what I did is, well, let me go back. Instead of that, let me go back and just do try to do a new. Oh, why does it keep going back there? I don't like that. I don't understand why it keeps going back. I don't know why it keeps taking me back to that out of the interview portal. I don't get that. You click new session, and So as you see, I called mine interview teams because honestly, I was just like playing around. I didn't really know what I was doing. But, so we're gonna call this just interviews. And then you've got to have a day. So let's just make it September 17th. And we're gonna start at 8 a.m. And we're gonna end at 2 p.m. Oh, no, that's not sorry. That's just the start time. Okay, number of applicants. I put 28 before just because that's a number I thought I was going to have, but we'll just put 27 because that's how many are in there. And then, so we got that. This is where it's important. How many rooms you're going to use in the block? And I'm using 4. And how many interviews each applicant has to have. So what we do, and this is where the thing comes in about if you have we have 20-minute blocks and 10-minute blocks. Our program director and our chairman meet for 10 minutes with every applicant. And then we have interview teams, basically, who they're not really teams, they're individuals, but they're groups, that it's like they'll meet with 4 people or whatever, and they don't meet with everyone. So that's why I think this is going to work, but I'm still kind of figuring it out. But so I'm going to say in the 4 blocks, each candidate has to interview in 2 of them. And then how many extra rooms are required for everyone? And that's 2, 1 for my PD, 1 for my chairman. And then I'm going to save. And that's when it creates all these rooms. And where did I see? I saw somewhere here, external video call link. So I believe that that's where you would put your Zoom link if you were using Zoom. And so, and also this is where you choose, if these are people you don't want full access to the application, you can give them limited access. And then you choose the duration of interviews. So for us, it's 20 minutes in these rooms. We don't give them any review time. So I'm going to say 0. And I'm going to apply that. And then there's the schedule. The time schedule. And then, so I think it's saved. Should be saved. You don't have to, I don't think you have to pick these people right now. Any changes will affect them all. Okay, thank you. Should be saved. Okay. Nope, it didn't save it. I don't know why it's not. Well, it's not working for me. So we'll just look at the one that I have. I'll look at one of the rooms I have already set up. This is the one I had already set up that we were just kind of looking at. Limited, and there's the schedule, the time schedule. And then this is the one for our program director that would get the full application. And here's the problem that we have come up against that I found today that I'm hoping they'll fix. Right now, there's a minimum duration for interviews of 15 minutes total. Well, our program director and our chair meet for 10 minutes with no in-between time. But when you try to do that, you get an error message. So basically, for us to use this platform, they would have to change this 15 minutes to 10 minutes at least, and they could even make it less. I don't know who thought it had to be 15 minutes. But so right now, when I set it up, I went ahead and left it with this a review duration. Because in other words, the interview would be 10 minutes and then the person would get like 5 minutes in between each interview to, you know, make their notes or whatever. So then this is what's beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. When
I love this.
I've got 27 people and I just told it to make the schedule. And there it is. And there's no overlap, right? So John Zoidberg isn't seeing anybody at the same time. He's seeing these two people at two different times. And then I don't even know where he is over here, but I don't have to worry about, you know, making sure that there's no crossover because everybody, there he is. And he should
I have a question about this button, Stephanie.
Mhm.
Do you know if you use that feature, will it also assign them to meeting rooms? So the way our schedule works is they kind of go back and forth between the meeting room situation and this like individual interviewer. Because we do a lot of groups.
understanding is you've got to have these rooms right here for
Mhm.
anywhere you want them to be.
Yeah, they would have to go
Otherwise-
back to the meeting room.
What's that?
They would have to go back to the meeting room. This is only for interviews, this phase right here.
Right.
So we would have to manually.
Well, there's
them
not,
in.
that's what I'm saying. This is for interviews, but there isn't I mean, I guess these rooms you set up, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's how they told us we would have to do our interview day.
Okay. So yeah, I haven't gotten to that yet. So
Okay.
I can't address that. Because so you're saying they would have to go back to one of these rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, like
that's
those,
what I had
yeah,
too.
those are a part of our interview day.
Mhm.
So that's why I just wondered if you used that button, if it also assigned them into these other.
No, see, as you see, there's nobody assigned there.
Okay.
And there's a place you can assign it
Mhm.
in here. You can add any applicants you want to add,
Mhm.
but you do manually have to do it, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you manually have to do that. And then whenever they finish their interview, they just have to flip back to the meeting room and join it again. But
Okay.
you already have them assigned, so they should be able to just jump back in.
Yeah, so you could conceivably, if you just have one meeting room that they're jumping back and forth between, you just assign everyone to it, right? That's what it sounds like. And then they can just jump back and forth as they need to.
Yes.
So
I'll have to rethink. I think I'm just gonna have to like rethink how we configure their day because it seems like there's no easy way for them to know, like them being the applicant, where they're supposed to be. Like in
So I think-
Thalamus, right?
well,
In
I think
Thalamus,
they'll
you could
be
hit the
able-
button and it gave you the list of where they're supposed to be, but my PD went to the one-on-one session and they told them that there's no easy way to like print a schedule.
I thought I
So
saw.
the applicant has an interviewer view and it'll show them like their whole day.
Yeah, I would.
So
yeah.
it'll say like a meeting room and then your interview times. It'll show them. But I
Okay.
asked them when I called, can it show us? Because right now we can't see that view, which I think would be great if we could see that view as well.
Right.
So will the
it would give them like an
interviewers,
itinerary and it would say, oh, your meeting room, like however you have it scheduled for them,
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
how their itinerary would look. But the meeting, like the back and forth thing would still be, but for them, it would just pop up as a joint. But
Okay.
for us, we probably would have to be like, oh crap, gotta go over here, or it's set up already to do it. But yeah.
Okay. Did they tell you if the interviewers would have a similar situation? So
Nope.
the applicants
And that's what I
and the-
want.
Oh, so the interviewers do not, only the applicants.
Right, like they can see
And
an actual itinerary, like.
Okay.
the
Okay.
other weakness I see here is there was no way to put in a break.
Now,
Yeah.
ours, we did put a break, and I don't know, my counterpart Elizabeth, she's not on here, but
Mhm.
she was able to insert breaks, and I don't know how the heck she did it, but I'll find out and I'll share
Okay.
it with you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, thanks, Fern, because, yeah, and I mentioned that because I called them today. And by the way, see, this is called the time track. So this shows you the schedule for each room. So that way you can show, for example, if this was, Dr. Smith is in this room, then I can send Dr. Smith, this is the schedule, or I guess they'll see it, right, in the interview portal for themselves. They'll see this. But then we can also see who's supposed to be where at every time. So, I mean, this is, in my opinion, this is a pretty powerful thing to be able to do this way and use this. It's just getting comfortable enough that we feel like we can, Any other comments or questions or anything someone wants to go back to? Oh, and you can just clear the whole thing, by the way, because I was trying to, like I say, go back to where I didn't have anything. And I can't remember where I did it. I think it might have been maybe here. No. Well, there's a way to clear it out. I can't remember how I did it, but I did it.
I have a quick question.
Uh-huh.
When you say limited, the full application, you can say who's going to see the full application and who's going to see limited. How do you, like, we just want ours to see the personal statement.
Right. So I believe there should be a way, and I haven't quite gotten that far, but it makes common sense to me. So I would think it would make common sense to these people that are setting this up, that you are able to click through the application and probably in the actual ResidencyCAS portal.
Pull out what you want them to see.
Right. I think, let's see if I can, it would go back there 14 times when I didn't want it to, but now it won't go back there. So here we are. Application setup. Let's see. Segmenting, no. Application properties, no.
I think you go back to the organization and then do the users
Oh,
or
right.
the
Well,
roles. The roles,
yeah.
I'm sorry. The roles.
Right. It's in roles. Okay.
Yes. And then you can
And then
adjust it from there.
reviewer. Right. So that's where manage the applications,
Okay.
general export. Well, but that doesn't tell, let's see, visibility. I hide specific forms. No. I don't know that is it.
Yeah, scroll back down, I think permitted actions, maybe.
No, that would just be what they can do. Like, manage emails, send emails. That's what all that is.
Yeah, it's in here, and because that's where I did it, because we don't let them see like the USMLE scores or COMLEX. So I took
Manage
those out of there.
application view layout and properties. No, it's not that. It's not permitted anyway. So they have nothing right now. Permitted actions, review applications, edit, comment.
View and conceal fields.
No, because see, that would be allowing them to do it. Right now, they're only allowed to do these three things. But the thing is, even the review applications, there's got to be a place more like, I don't know. There has to be a place you can check off what they're allowed to see. But I'm just not sure where it is. So that's going to take a little more looking into to find that. The other thing, there is apparently a way that you can create workflows so that you don't have to move things yourself. I haven't done one yet, so I'm not positive about it. But here,
Oh, it's under application data restrictions. It's like close to the bottom.
oh, okay, back in the organization in the roles.
Yeah, it's almost all the way at the bottom. But it has application data restrictions. And you can add what you want to
Oh,
restrict.
Okay, all right, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where it is. So you were absolutely right, and that's where it is. Application data restrictions under roles. So obviously you don't want to change that for anybody but your reviewers or your interviewers. You can, I believe, create a new role though, if you need it. You know, like if, for example, you do want some people that are interviewing to be able to see more than others. For example, when our residents interview, we definitely do not want them to see USMLE scores or, you know, things like that, because these people could end up being their colleagues and we don't want them to have, you know, like some bias or whatever. So we might set up a role for a resident interviewer. And we would let them have that and, you know, review applications, but then, and then we would go down here and restrict what they could see here. So, you know, here, you know, their grades, their clerkship grades, their, you know, anything we don't want them to see, their medical school transcripts, you know, any of that, we could say they can't see that, right? And this would let them see it. So I think that's how, no, that's a restriction. So we want to restrict that entire form, right? They're not allowed to see that. So that's what you'd be doing. If for some reason you don't want them to see the letters of recommendation, you can do the same thing, it looks like. So you just go through and just do it, you know, if you have, like I say, if you have people that have different levels, you can create a different role. And then there it will be, resident interviewer. And it tells you it has restrictions. Anybody else? Comments or questions that I probably can't answer, but I'm happy to try. Okay, well, I mean, it's a little bit early, but it's fine with me.
Well, I do have a question. Like, I don't know if you've gotten this far. I've tried today and I'm not having any luck with it. With the actual interview, like I wanted to try and walk through an interview session.
Oh, I have not tried, no.
Yeah, okay.
But there are some good instructions about mock interviews that I believe I shared with everybody who was registered.
Yes, yeah, you did. And I was
Yeah.
looking at that and it said to go to the sandbox and I went to the sandbox, but it's not letting me use like an applicant to log in. It told me to get like the applicant's email address and log in with that so that I could, you know, see what I see on my side and see what they see. And it won't let me log in with the applicant information.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah,
I would just
so-
say what I do is either call them.
Yeah,
Because it's pretty
like a mock
fast
call.
to answer, or
Okay.
email them. They're faster if you call them because you don't have to wait very long, and then They do answer, at least until all of us start calling them at the same time. And then we may have wait times. But
Yeah.
right now, there's not that much wait time, so.
Okay, yeah, I might give them a call and see if I can figure that out.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, well,
Sorry, I have one quick question.
sure.
The lesson you were giving us at the very beginning on entering the evaluation form and letting them score to determine which applicants to invite. I know you said once you submit or save it that you cannot make any changes. My question is, what if they start filling it out and get interrupted and have to close? Does it hold what they've entered, or have they lost the fields that they fill out?
I do not know the answer to that question.
Okay.
What you can do though, is you can try it yourself, is just, go in there, assign somebody to yourself with that form, fill out a couple of the things, and then just close it up and then reopen it and see what happens. That's
Okay.
usually the way I learn best doing that. Like the mistake I made is what teaches me the most.
That's true. Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else? Okay, well, if nobody else has any questions or anything, then I will share this recording like I did the last time. I'll have to send a message through Sign Up Genius that I'm sending it through an email, because Sign Up Genius won't let me send a link with the free version. And so if I may not have your email, I tried at the beginning to save everyone's emails, but I may not have them all. So don't hesitate to email me if you want the recording and you didn't get a link to it. But it probably is going to be, it may be Monday. I might be able to do it though in the next few minutes. If I can, I will send it right out, and otherwise it might not be till Monday. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Fern. Thank you all for
Thank
your
you.
contributions. It's very helpful, I think.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Stephanie.
All right, thanks.
thank
Thanks.
you. Are we
Bye.
doing it next week again too?
I'll keep showing up as long as people are showing up and feel like they need to be here. I'm happy. I feel like we're all gonna come up against something either helpful or something we can't figure out. And so I'm happy to continue. I've got them set up twice a week for, until applications come out. So as long as somebody is there, I'll be there.
Cool.
All
I
right.
appreciate this. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.